So here at Huruma School, we are able to individualize student care, and so some of our children are receiving physical therapy and occupational therapy. Some of our children are working on academic skills, and some of them are working on both. Rachel right now is working on her occupational therapy of using her fingers to pick up small objects, which is increasing her dexterity. How you doing, Rachel? So that's what we're working on today at Huruma.
That we provide free and appropriate education, but also we support parents of children with disabilities to access medical care and physiotherapy. It's hard to provide all this as an NGO because we depend on donation from abroad. So keeping them here, all 65 students, it costs a lot. It's almost $3,000 per month, and most of these parents, they are in a vulnerable situation. Most of them, it's hard, first of all, to take their children to school. It's hard to feed them at home. As you can see that our children like school because they are sure of having food. They are sure of having college and food or lunch. So this is good for these students. Otherwise, it would be a problem because at home it's not easy. There's no food security. They expect to get it at school.
So one of the things that the kids work on here at Huruma is life skills. Especially some of the older kids, they are not going to be going on and studying in secondary school. And so here at Huruma, we like to focus on skills that they might be able to take after Huruma and use in the real world. So for example, they might help sweep the classrooms, they help get some of the other younger kids into their wheelchairs and help move them around. They also help with dishes every day. So after our morning porridge, which is uji in Kiswahili, after their morning uji, some of the older kids go and they wash dishes. And so that's what they were finishing up right now, getting the dishes washed, set out in the sun to dry so that they're ready for their uji tomorrow morning. Many of our students at Huruma Special Education Unit are being raised in single parent households. That means that either mother or bibi, grandma, is taking care of this child and they are doing it on their own. So sadly, this leads to very challenging economic situations for these families. One of the challenges they have is just putting food on the table, getting enough food to feed the family every day. And so Huruma does two things there. 4 days a week, we are able to offer our kids uji, which is a type of porridge that's very filling, as a mid-morning snack. And then we offer them rice and beans. And so those are 2 meals 4 days a week that these kids are guaranteed. It also leaves these caregivers several hours 4 days a week to be able to go off and make a little bit of money. As you can imagine, caring for a child with autism or cerebral palsy, and then trying to at the same time go out and sell vegetables or sell fish, this is nearly an impossible task. And so Huruma opens up a little bit of space for some of these single moms and single grandmas, and allows them an opportunity to go out and financially provide for their family, and at the same time is offering their kids 4 days a week of a solid meal, so that they know that they're getting some nutrition throughout the week. When I arrived at Huruma Special Education Unit, they did not currently have a nurse on staff. And so one of the things that I have implemented over the last 6 months is bringing in teams of doctors and doing general assessments on as many of the kids that we can. So we've held 2 free clinic days so far, where parents and their kids are invited to come in, get an assessment, and see what needs they may have. We also need to do follow-up care because the reality is many of these families cannot afford medication, they cannot afford lab tests, they cannot afford physical therapy treatment. And so once we have a diagnosis and we have a treatment plan, my job is to make sure that we follow up with the family. And so that might mean that I'm helping them get their child on seizure medications. It might mean that we're doing a visit to the orthotics doctor and getting orthotics for the kids, for their feet. It might mean that we bring in a physical therapist, which is something that we've done recently. We are hoping to hire a full-time physical therapist starting in 2024, as we have many children that do need physical therapy on a regular basis, and they have not been getting it to the extent that they need. So that's my job as a nurse, is to make sure that these very basic needs that the families cannot meet are being met. Here at Huruma, we have 65 kids currently enrolled. That's our maximum number that we can take. And they come to us with varying different diagnoses and disabilities. So we have a handful of kids that are diagnosed as deaf with hearing loss. We have children with cerebral palsy, varying degrees of cerebral palsy. We have children with autism, with Down syndrome. And then some kids are simply labeled by the government schools as intellectually slow learner. And what that diagnosis means is that they just haven't been able to keep up with their peers in their classrooms, and they are asked to leave the school. They just are told that they can't learn, and they are asked to leave the school. So we take all these kiddos in, and we are lucky that we have 3 separate classrooms. So what we've tried to do at Huruma is to divide these kids up more or less by ability. You have some kids that they're just not going to learn to read. It's not going to happen. And so they might be working on puzzles. They might be working on stacking blocks. They might be working on more manipulative skills with their hands. We also have kids that are learning to read, and they are learning their math. And those kids eventually, if we can get them to a certain point, they may actually transition next door to the government school. And that does happen quite often, that we're able to get these kiddos up to a level that they can transition over and start attending the government school. We also have kids that a large part of their day is spent on physical therapy. Now that we've brought in a physical therapist and trained some of the teachers up, what they really need is they need physical therapy. And so a good part of their day is working on physical therapy skills. So that's how we have attempted to teach 65 students with many different abilities and many diagnoses in the classroom setting at Huruma School.
My name is Madam Happiness. On my table I'm having almost 6 pupils here. So today I will explain and I will teach on how to improve a pupil with cerebral palsy by using this puzzle. So I use this puzzle to teach. His name is called Ibrahim. He is having cerebral palsy, so I use this puzzle to improve on how to catch a pen. So he cannot catch a pen well because he has cerebral palsy. So I use this puzzle to improve her handwriting using this one. So when I want him to put these things accordingly. That's how I used to teach Ibrahim on how to improve her hands on putting this. Okay, put it here. No. Put it here. Okay. Very good. Just take that one, put it, find the place. Yes.
Grateful for those who have been supporting us, and we keep on asking and requesting those good people And we'll appreciate for any support from abroad to run this school because it's very expensive as an NGO, and we have no any other means apart from donation. So we ask anyone who is ready, who feels paid for these kids, to support us, because keeping teachers here is very expensive, and food, providing food for these students, also transport, but most of all, medication for these kids and physiotherapy exercise, it costs a lot. So we ask you guys, wherever you are, support these kids on medication, on physiotherapy exercise, so that in one day they may be able to live as independent as possible.